Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GTHub podcast for yet another week. It's a full house again with our usual suspects, and once again, that would be Rob,
Hi.
and of course,
Good evening, everyone.
and it'll be a bit of an interesting mix of things this week because we'll start with current news that happened over the weekend, that being Macau and the racing from Shanghai, and then transition to a bit of a catch-up because the rest of the show will be dedicated to IMSA news that we didn't get to cover from the past couple of weeks. So, yeah, a bit of a catch-up for all of us here. So we hope you enjoy that. So without further ado, we will go into the... Oh, let's see, what should we do? Let's do Shanghai first, because it was very brief. And that was basically supposed to be the 6 hours of Shanghai, but that turned into the 4 hours of Shanghai. Thanks to some rain. Well, that's being a bit diplomatic when I say some, yeah. A lot of rain. To cancel the planned 6 hours there.
Yeah, to say it was a bit damp would be quite...
Again. This time it was of Kazuki Nakajima, Jose Maria Lopez, and Mike Conway, who won. So that helped them.
I think.
Was it?
Yeah, so I think Kobayashi is in the Conway and Lopez car, and Nakajima's in the car with Buemi and one Mr. Fred.
Oh wait, yeah, you're right.
So...
Yeah, I'm getting confused. Yeah, no, thank you for correcting me because I forgot that one round. But the 7 crew was the winning Toyota, so they closed the gap to their mates of the point. Once again, fiddled with the EOT. But after all that was said and done, they once all that was said and done, they had pretty much had the pace because the Rebellions were quickest in P3, or FP3 rather, and then we had a bit of a surprise in GTE Pro because the Astons finally got their first win with the new Vantage AMR car. And in GTE Pro, it was once again a win from the Dempsey Proton 77 car. Coming off the weekend where they had lost all of their points because of
oh yes,
refueling problem or something. I can't quite remember what it was.
I've got the post up here in front of me on dailysportscar.com. So the issue they had arose after all their fuel stops were observed to be visually below the minimum of 45 seconds in Japan, and they were handed time penalties. And the data supplied by the team, after that, they had a series of meetings in China to discuss the matter, and the conclusion is that a line of additional code was inserted into the data logger that resulted in false readings being supplied. The actual fueling times having 2 seconds added to those reported by the FIA, and apparently those breaches were detected at both Fuji and at the previous round at Silverstone. And they have made clear that the team's position is to lay the blame squarely on the shoulders of a now very much dismissed consultant.
Right, okay.
Yes, the evidence also is from a Porsche customer racing representative places the responsibility squarely on the team, with the team responding in turn that the blame laid with their consultant-ish person. They have also... TLDR, the decision makes it clear that stewards have decided that there have been a number of breaches of the regulations which constitute a fraudulent process. Even if the consultant was guilty, this would still be, by regulation, the responsibility of the team to manage and report, and in failing to identify the said consultant, the team were guilty of failure to cooperate in an investigation.
Okay. Well,
no other teams, interestingly, received a boost in points total.
Well, the Project 1 team inherits the lead in the AM standings, I think, thanks to the disqualifications.
Patrick Lindsay and Jorg Bergmeister, good old IMSA regulars.
Well, it comes off the back of their Fuji win as well, so...
Exactly.
It hasn't taken the Project 1 guys to learn proper racing, yeah.
Proper racing? I thought that was IMSA. Never mind.
Well, I mean, the Project 1 guys were Porsche Super Cup team, weren't they? Until they
yes, they were.
Yeah.
So,
yes, they
yeah.
were. It's just I was thinking from Jörg and Pat's point of view about having raced in IMSA, where some of the rules and regulations regarding the racing are, should we say, a little bit more liberal than they are in the World Endurance Championship.
I think that's fair enough to say, yeah. So that's how that ended up turning out for them. So it was kind of... Once the rain settled down and the stoppages kind of went away and everyone kind of stayed on track, the racing was pretty good. And, yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. So you get to cut out a bit 2 hours of red flag and have a nice 4-hour race, which coincidentally is the length of racing that they'll have this weekend again. So, yeah.
Yes, and I take it more on that later.
More on that later, yeah, to close out the show.
Excellent.
However, for now, we will go to another part of Asia, and that would be the 60-something Grand Prix of Macau, or 65th,
yes.
I believe.
Something like that, yeah.
Another part of China, sort of, maybe.
China-like.
Yeah. The special administrative region.
China's second account.
Private account.
Second account or China's third account if you count Hong Kong? Yeah.
Yeah, Hong Kong's technically the private account.
China's fourth account.
There you go.
We
got it right
account
eventually.
on Instagram for all the slightly drunken party photos.
Wouldn't know anything about that, Rob, so yeah.
I'm a university student, so...
Anyway, getting back on track. We ended up having the GT World Cup at Macau with a dreadful amount of cars, which ended up being... Well, started with a 15, because Lawrence Van Thor had a pristine Porsche, which then turned out to be not a very pristine Porsche, so we ended up with 14 cars in total for the World Cup of GT cars. So, yeah. That did not go very well for them. However, BMW were very delighted because they won both qualifying race. They won the qualifying race and the main race for Augusto Farfus, who actually this weekend was announced as quitting DTM to go GT racing. So he starts his new career on a high for sure.
I think anything's a high after leaving DTM.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Exactly. He's a good lad for prioritising himself and focusing on his grand touring racing commitments rather than those touring car prototype things.
Calling that a prototype is
very massive quotation marks.
Yeah.
I would argue prototype as well, because...
Yeah.
There is something.
They're a silhouette car, Rob. Yeah, just go with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
But he's quitting the DTM to go GT racing full time in 2019. He gets a win on the weekend. He announces that. It's also a really good win for BMW in the fact that they're sending off one of their legends, so to speak. Well, not even so to speak. He is an absolute legend in BMWs. And that would be Charlie Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
After what? 40. Almost 44 years of the brand or something?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Something like that, yeah. Quite a long time. With them through the touring car days and the GT2 days, racing at the Nürburgring and
The LMR.
24-hour races. And, I think he was there for the LMR days as well.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Also, probably, actually, if you say the number of years you said, probably going back as far as the old Group 5s.
He's been with them forever, yeah. Basically, as long as there's a BMW that's been racing with factory money, I think he's been involved with it, so to speak.
What a legend.
But yeah, Charlie Lambs. And yeah, he's going out on a high for a Schnitzer, and it's not like the name's going away, because his son will take over the reins of that team there, so there'll still be a Lamb at the helm there. But they ran at the front for the qualifying race, and were chased the flag by the two Mercedes after well, was it two or was it one? It was Marciello and I think it might have been Porsche or an Audi who was third. Someone went off and was in the Mercedes, and they threw away a podium. But it was a Mercedes that chased him home. And once again, the German cars won in Macau. And there was only 14 cars on the grid, like I mentioned, because of the retirement of the Grello Porsche. So, yeah, sadly. That one was a bit worse off for wear than when slightly used 911 GT3R.
Expect to see that on Race Cars Direct soon.
Well, I think you might get a good deal on that, considering it's an old model now. The 2019 car's coming.
The vintage collector's item.
Some anti-Porsche, that's right. Yeah, you might cut a couple of thousands off that one, yeah.
I was going to say, a couple of 100,000 probably, yes.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Be the cheapest
GT3
car on the blooming site.
Put a new right rear corner on it. Totally fine.
Make sure the engine and gearbox are just so as well.
Just stick a VW Beetle rear end on it, it'll be fine.
There you go.
Hey. No doubt you will have summoned Sif by mentioning that.
Insulting it, yeah.
Yes, every time we call a Porsche a Beetle, we summon him.
It's not insulting a Porsche to call it a Beetle, that's a compliment.
I don't know. Anyway, at any rate, that was what happened in the GT race. Next year, they're looking at adding, surprise of surprise, the AMS back in the race. Yeah. Because I don't know why they even left in the first place, but that was the thought process there. But they're gonna have a look at inviting back the AMS, so maybe that puts an end to the weird World Cup thing that they've offloaded to Bahrain. Who knows, really?
We don't.
Nobody knows, really, but
Not even the FIA knows. Let's be honest.
that's their fault for offloading it onto the SRO, so they should have learned the first time they tried that with the GT1 championship.
I was going to say, wouldn't this be like the third time now?
Well, they never learned the first time, I guess. So,
Or the second time with the FIA GT Championship / GT1s of the mid to late 2000s.
From going from that race that was actually enjoyable to the slightly, well, I'm not even going to say slightly, it was the depressing news over the weekend for the F3 cars at Macau. But thankfully everyone was okay from that from that accident. And those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, there was video out there of the crash involving Sophia Florsch and So Michelle Suboi, I think was who she crashed into.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crashed into isn't the right word. Leapt over is the word.
Jeez.
On her way to meeting some photographer. In their... what turn was that? Was that Lisboa?
Lisboa, yeah.
Okay. And her way there. Go on.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say what actually caused the accident. Because there was
Sorry?
there was a an errant yellow flag on that straight. Flörsch hit the back of the car in front, and then she lost her wheels, and then she was just a complete passenger. She went into the wall, turned around, and then went backwards over Suboi.
And over the sausage curbs as well.
Yeah, hit the sausage curb, took her into Suboi, and then that launched her into the fence, or over the fence, really.
Yeah, I don't think she hit the fence at all, really.
Yeah.
I think she only hit the fence when she came from the building. Yeah. Which is rather worrying. They might need to take a look at possibly race line, or possibly slowing down the cars with the chicane. Or just getting rid of the sausage curb. That probably might be easier.
And maybe raising the fence a little bit as well.
And
raising the fences won't hurt, really. Those didn't even look like proper safety fences either. They just look like cheap chain link fence you would buy for like $5 and put up.
It was basically chicken wire.
Yeah, it was not the best of fencing.
No. The thing is that I think a lot of the F1 drivers, if you'd say to them, "Oh, where would you like to have a one-off race at?" they would probably all say Macau, because they do still think, even though they're in Formula One, that it is still one of the truest tests of driver skill.
That may be true, but yeah, I don't know. That's a little. It's a little too. It's not too much to ask for some modern safety.
Yeah.
Cars.
Yeah, Dallara deserve a huge shout out that the fact that
bloody hell, too right.
Both that Flörsch was able to survive that and actually be conscious and be able to be gotten out of the car.
Yeah, it's a massive round of applause for the Dallara safety stall on that one. But I think that might just bring attention to safety standards at that track, maybe for want of a lack of them. Considering if that accident had happened with one of the GT3 cars, I don't even.
Oh God, no!
Want to imagine that.
Even the TCRs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, even a TCR car. Yeah, a big, beefy car would just
with no aero.
Think of what would happen with that one, but yeah. So I don't know what they do, but something needs to be looked at for that, because yeah, it's happened once, and once is enough for me. I don't need to see that again next year. It's bad enough they crash every single year at Macau. They don't need to be repeating those kind of highlights for that race, especially for what is supposed to be the World Cup for the F3 drivers. I don't think that needs to be ever present. So I think that's probably enough said about that. But thankfully the marshals and the photographers are okay, and Sophia Flörsch had a 7-hour operation to repair fractured vertebrae and on her lower spine, I believe. But she's okay, and she's making a recovery, so back in the car soon. And yeah, we wish her the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There was also the TCR in Macau as well, which was sort of the championship won by that young Italian kid, Gabriele Tarquini.
Oh yes, that guy.
Yeah, at the age of just 50. What was it? 56, I think.
You're asking me? I don't know. He had won over the weekend.
Yes, the 1994. I think he won. Yes, he is 56 years old. Made his debut.
I thought he was older than that.
He made his Formula One debut in 1987, I believe it was.
Right. Okay. Well, he's an old man and he's still winning. So there you go.
Yes.
That man will be a factory driver until he dies. Really? Yeah. He's just too good to not be.
Exactly.
He doesn't win a cup. He's not a world champion.
It's the World Touring Car Cup, but it is for all intents and purposes now the World Championship in touring car racing.
He's not actually a world champion.
Not officially according to the FIA.
Damn, that's a shame. How can there not be a world championship for?
Not enough
that
manufacturers.
Well, how many are there? There's Hyundai. There's
not factory teams.
Hyundai. There's Honda. Surely that should be. There's still a World Cup for one teams in WEC.
Well, it is the FIA we're talking about.
I don't know.
Actually, speaking of the FIA, the World Rally Championship was in Australia at the weekend, and guess who won that?
Should I care?
No.
For the purposes of a Radio Le Mans joke?
Oh. I don't know.
Hang on. Was it Sebastian Loeb?
Ogier! Yes. It was Ogier.
Wrong Sebastian.
It still means that every title, including from 2004 to the present day, has been won by a Frenchman called Sebastian.
And next year he'll be driving a French car, so then he can be a Frenchman winning in a French car.
Yes.
That's not the important news. The important news is that Toyota won the Manufacturers' Championship in their glorious little Yaris.
Yes. And
that thing needs to be made into a road car. Awesome.
I thought they already sort of did with the GRMN edition, the Gazoo Racing Masters Nürburgring.
It's not quite the same thing. It needs to have the giant wing and all the aero on it. Yeah.
And how much aerodynamic drag would you like?
Allegation special for the winning the title. Come on, Toyota, you know you want to do it. Come on.
Actually, with Toyota-san as the company's CEO, that sounds like something he would have already thought about.
Well, I mean, if they're rolling out Camrys with TRD packages on them, just saying. Yeah.
I was going to say, then again, we don't get the Camry here in the UK, so.
Apparently, you're being brought it, so.
Ooh,
I think.
Crikey.
Anyway.
Finally get rid of the event system. Yay!
By a different name, but yeah. Anyway, enough car news there.
That was all the World Rally Championship news you needed to know, dear listener.
Yeah, because not important.
Exactly.
Totally not important. So we'll move on with that one, and we'll go into the main point of the show this week, and that would be a IMSA news round. For those following along. Let's see here. We will begin with identifying some new things for 2019. That being... quite a bit of interesting changes. Actually, more of it coming on the Pro-Am side, that being the LMP2 and GTD classes. Must have a silver or bronze rated driver in each LMP2 or GTD team. So that's a new requirement. Also, Steiny's Any Pro is trying to sneak their way in.
Oh, there were quite a few very sneaky silvers in that class.
Speaking of sneaky silvers, any new silver driver to the web will be subject to IMSA driver evaluation committee before any entry is accepted. So just to prevent that very thing from happening that you mentioned, funnily enough. And each race weekend will have a special practice session prior to qualifying, solely reserved for bronze and silver rated drivers in GTD. And in both of the LMP2 and GTD classes, a bronze or silver rated driver must qualify and start the race. No more of this Colin Braun rule that I will now call this, because that's exactly what this is. This is exactly the Colin Braun loophole in the rules that they finally got rid of.
John Bennett.
Well, that's true. Is this the Colin Braun rule or the John Bennett loophole?
Or
I think this is the John Bennett loophole. Yeah, the core autosport rule. We shall call
Actually,
no,
the Jeff Braun rule.
There you
Jeff
go.
is the person.
Yeah.
Colin's dad's actually engineering the car.
Yes, there you go. Rob getting straight to the point for once. Well done.
Arigato gozaimasu.
And he's speaking Japanese terribly. That's one to check off the bingo card.
It wasn't German, though.
Language done by Rob. Yeah. Huh?
It wasn't German for once.
I'd rather have it be German.
Okay, Dankeschön.
Balls. Yeah. We move past that and stick with the Pro-Am driving lineup to see that the Jim Truman Award, which is the LMP2 award, and the Bob Aiken Award for the GTD class, for the top Pro-Am drivers in LMP2 and GTD, will go to the highest placed eligible driver in the season-ending point standings. Now, why that's important is because that's a change to how it was done in the past, which was some weird formula in which it was done on apps and positions, fuel strategy, and whatever else they decided.
Yeah.
Basically, yes, was how they did that. They threw darts to the dartboards. But he's the quickest that day. He gets the points.
Like me throwing darts to the dartboard.
To the dartboard. So they're going for the highest season place driver. So, which is basically fine, because if that had been the result, then John Bennett would still have won the title. But more on that coming up. Because we move past that into what is the important bit of news, and this is the amount of drivers that are allowed into LMP2 and GTD. This being, of course, for sprint races, a maximum of 2 drivers. 1 platinum or 1 gold minimum. No sneaky duos, if you wish. Endurance races, there's a maximum of 3 drivers. 1 platinum or 1 gold max. And of course, for the Rolex 24 at Daytona, which is, well, the endurance races, first off, going back to that's Sebring, Watkins Glen, and Petit Le Mans. You're allowed 3 drivers line. At Daytona, however, you were allowed 4 to 5 drivers, but only in LMP2 and GTD. With a maximum of 1 platinum and 1 gold, or 2 golds maximum, depending on how you line up your precious metals.
What about the categorization?
Everyone with me so far? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Only just.
I was going to say, but what about for those whose driver category happens to be graded as lead?
I think you might be a free driver. You can go wherever you please. Yeah.
Yes, DPI, here we come.
I have a problem getting into a DPI car, but
actually, I'd have more.
Oh wait, hang on. No, you'll have a problem getting into any car. Never mind. Yeah,
because it has doors.
Yeah, you couldn't open the door.
Actually, I might have a problem getting out of it just because I'm too tall.
You keep telling yourself that's the only problem, Rob. You keep telling yourself. Anyway, moving past your attitudes, we moved to the testing bans that have taken place for not testing bans. That's not quite true. Reductions for teams. P2 and GTD teams will be limited to 4 days of private testing, with DPI and GTLM seeing a reduction of test days to 8 per entry. And all Michelin tires for all the teams will have RFID chips, and those will be used to track usage and allocation for the tires. So basically, like how they do it in WEC and in the ELMS and whatnot, they have the big, towards pit exit. You have to drive through. It's basically what's going on with that. And just a few more regulation notes. GTD class will only participate in the first 2 days of testing at the Roar before the Rolex 24. That being on January 4th to the 5th. And the Roar will be the only IMSA sanctioned test in 2019. So no testing at Sebring like there typically is in March. And that would be that one before we go to some changes. And we begin with, again, top to bottom. So that would be the DPI class, the big fire-breathing boys in that consists of the Cadillac DPI, the Cadillac DPI VR,
just the Cadillac.
Nissan. Well, for visualization purposes, it's just the Cadillac. Yeah, see on here. But the Cadillac for this one, the Cadillac DPI VR. There's the on-road. What is it called? The Nissan on-road DPI. That's what it's called. The Mazda RT24P and the Acura RX-05. I feel like I'm.
I don't think he missed anything.
Mazda, Nissan, Acura. No. Or there were rumours of Hyundai potentially coming in.
Come on, you know you want to.
Well, funny you mentioned that. Albert Bierman has been talking again, and he says there's potential for 2020. So, yeah.
Come on, Hyundai, you know you want to. I nearly fell off from stool.
There was a rumored program for this year with the Red Dragon guys. Just saying. Not unusual. But as you'll see on here, the difference is that 4 colors now, Rob. It's very exciting. Woo! Back to the old ALMS days of actually knowing what car we're staring at. Yeah.
Well, rather than having both DPIs and LMP2s running the same coloured number panel as GTLM or something.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We have the white numbers with the white number background with the black numbers and the DPI. The leader lights are white, and that's the primary difference. Next, we go to the LMP2 cars, which let's see, which triggered the blue color, and as you can see, the has blue mirrors, blue leader lights. Basically, everything is blue for color purposes. I don't know why they mandate you have to have blue wing in plates, and you do. So
old school way of doing it.
It's annoying is what it does. It's just ruins livery. Makes it so much difficult to spot. Yeah.
Mm. So that's what you do in like touring car racing. You'd have the wing mirrors a different color and maybe reverse the colors on the windshield banner.
P2 being, of course, the spec WEC cars, or the ACO WEC cars, and the ELMS, the ACO championships, and that would be, of course, the Onroc, Ligier chassis, the pretty much dominant at this point Oracle 5, and the Laura P217, and of course there's a Multimatic, but pretty much just a Mazda at this point. So yeah, it's not worth mentioning to that. And from that, we now move into the second factory class of the championship, which is GTLM. And now this sees no changes pretty much, because consistent, as we all know what GTLM looks like, with the red number panel and the red wing end plates and the red mirrors. But possibly you have mandated, I don't know if they did this before, but now they're doing it where they mandate how, if you have multiple cars, there's a white center and there's a black, which is kind of weird. But that's how they're mandating that. I guess that's technically how they would do it with F1 and the colored roll hoop, I guess. Yeah, or camera thing. What one would be black and one would be yellow. No changes seeing on that front, and now we get to the with all the GT3 cars, and that would be GTD. Now, this also doesn't have a change in colors because it's staying with green, as you can see. So, green number plate, green windshield banner, green mirrors, green wing end plates, and green leader lights. That's pretty much standard. And I like that they use the Acura as the base car for that picture. It's quite nice. And now we shall finish off the relations, because I didn't mention the ones before. I wanted to get down the visual cues here of classes. We'll move into the support classes now and finish off the reg changes with the very newly announced pilot features, because all sorts of changes in this series, not of which to mention the title sponsor, so thus no more Continental. Michelin tires. Production of two classes, because sadly, the very much beloved Street Tuner class is no more for 2019. And as you can see, there's a reduction to 2, so there's new number plates and new colors. Very exciting. Blue and yellow for this one. See on the screen is the Grand Sport class, which is the basically TCR. TC got that wrong in my head. GT4 regulations. GT4 regulations for the top class there. Ford Mustangs, the McLaren 570Ss, the Camaros, what have you, the Caymans, lots and lots of variety. You have a GT4 car, you can race it there in the big class, and the secondary class is, of course, the touring car racing class, or TCR. And for that one, it's blue numbers with a yellow number plate on the background. And yeah, with the Michelin tires on these cars, they should be quite, because they were setting ridiculously quick lap times in the pilot challenge or not the Pilot Challenge, the Michelin Encore. Sorry, getting Michelin races mixed up into my mind. But at the Encore, they were setting like not even setting almost second to second lap quicker there, just because they changed tires. So yeah, that should be fun to watch. Yeah, and then of course the next final series to see is the IMSA Prototype Challenge car, which are all LMP3 cars this season, because the very much old of the two something Elon DPO2s, I think is what the name was.
What was the Mazda Inline 4?
Mazda engined things.
Yeah, because that's why it used to be called Mazda Prototype Challenge, I think, because of the engine deal Mazda had in the series. But I think, I think it was DPO2 or something like that.
But those long used chassis with amazing shelf life for those cars, because they were used since the old IMSA series in back in the LMS days was the support series for them back in 2000. I want to say like 2008. So yeah, they quite a shelf life for those cars without any revisions.
Good innings.
Yeah.
Pretty good value for the money there. That's all LMP3s, and the change there comes in the fact that yes, they're on Michelin tires, and they're all just those. So you'll see the Ligier, the dominant Ligier JSP3, the rivaling in numbers Norma and 30. What other one is there? Oh, the ADES-03 is the other one. There's, of course, the Ginetta, but no one seems to like the race the Ginetta. And the very much stillborn Ave Riley chassis for your selection there. All, of course, using Nissan engines. And for this, teams will be required to run 2 drivers in the endurance races, which are both 3 hours in length. The first one being at Daytona at the Roar before the Roar X24 test, and the second endurance race coming at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, otherwise known as Mosport. So that should be a fun race to watch. You have the option of running a 3rd driver, but if you run 3 drivers, you need at least 1 bronze. And speaking of bronze drivers, there's a new championship specifically for them, and that would be the Bronze Cup. Very exciting changes for the challenge classes in IMSA, if you will.
Yeah, it's bringing new things in for those amateur drivers, which is always nice.
Which is basically all that these changes are done for the AMs. But with all the regulations done, hopefully I haven't bored anyone to tears. If I have, apologies. That needed to be mentioned because quite a bit was changed. So we move to the very late news of Road Atlanta and sponsorships. Because I'm sure most of you are aware of the change to Road Atlanta to be on his Michelin race with now you know. And as part of that, they get a new logo, nice and blue and yellow. It's actually quite lazy because they didn't even change the logo. They just changed the color of the logo. Because it used to be green and yellow, so now it's just blue and yellow. So Michelin didn't have to do much rebrand. As part of the new deal, they will have a new control. that has been there since, and it will be known as the Michelin Tower when it's built. And it will have a 300-person hospitality event space on the first floor, a media center, very exciting, and broadcast booths in the second floor, shiny things. So Rob will never see them, but they'll be nice and shiny. Third and fourth floors will be hospitality as well, and race control will be. And moving past that, we will go to what I mentioned earlier, and that was the aforementioned Jim Truman Awards and Bob Aiken Award for Le Mans Auto Invites. And that would go to, in LMP2, the banana boat entry for Goikberg on it, thanks to the demise of the core Autosport guys' title chances.
Yes, so the Jim... Sorry about that, some slight technical difficulties there. Yes, there is the Jim Truman Award for the best performing AM driver in a global WEC/European Le Mans Series Spec LMP2 car. And Misha Goikberg won that while driving for JDC Miller Motorsports this season, which means he personally has an auto invite to next year's Le Mans 24 Hours to a team of his choosing. Not that we actually know or it has been confirmed yet which team it is. And then we have the Bob Aiken Award for the AM driver, the gentleman driver. Call it what you will. Call him what you will. In the GTD class, in this case, this is to a GT AM berth at Le 24 du Mans. And Ben Keating has claimed the auto entry, and it does appear at the moment like he is going to run his Keating Motorsport entry in conjunction with Risi Competizione once again, which is going to be awesome, bringing back two people who are, I'd say, very highly respected for their team management and driving tactics, but are also respected for who they are away from the circuit. It is also worth noting that John Bennett lost the Jim Truman Award, but he is, regardless, pursuing and exploring a potential core Autosport Le Mans entry, which means we might finally get to see Colin Braun at Circuit de la Sarthe in an LMP2 car just kicking ass in general. So,
hell yes.
Hell yes, exactly. That's going to be awesome to witness. And
still be faster than the Ginetta LMP1.
They'd easily be quicker than the Nissan P1 a few years back. But then again, that's not exactly difficult.
I mean, they just have to do one lap and they'd be quicker. So.
Oh yeah, I think actually I remember reading the timesheets from that year, and the pole sitter in LMP2 had actually outqualified the last of the Nissan LMP1s.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
And that wasn't in one of the new 600 odd horsepower mental beasts they call LMP2 cars. Now, that was back when they had about, 470, 480 horsepower? And much less in the way of aero. So, those were good. That's just where the level of those cars were. And speaking of cars, Acura have unveiled a new Evolution kit for the NSX GT3, as they are allowed to do, given that it's reached the age where...
2 years after.
2 years after, exactly. New front splitter, new rear diffuser, new rear bumper.
And it looks amazing.
Yes, the bodywork's revised, the cooling's better, but quite frankly, we don't care, because it just looks so badass.
And it looks like it's going to be quick as well.
Well, that's what they say, though. If the car looks quick, then it is quick.
Yeah.
So if we take the old theory from 60s, 70s and apply it to this, then yeah, I think Acura teams should be getting their hopes up for...
I think it's going to get the overall win at Daytona.
It is also worth noting that the running cost has been reduced as well. There's... it's more durable, the engine life's been increased by 25%, and the drivability and balance have also been enhanced for a wider range of Pro and Am drivers. And speaking of the Acura NSX GT3 Evo, Michael Shank Racing and Heinricher Racing have teamed up to field an entry at Daytona under the Heinricher Racing banner with that car. And well,
you missed the most important thing there, though.
Yes,
all-female lineup.
All-female lineup. Catherine Legg, Jackie Heinricher, Simona Di Silvestre, and Anna Betriz. With Betriz also rounding out the Michelin Endurance Cup lineup for the team as well in the 57.
Second ever all-female lineup to take part in the Rolex 24.
Yeah,
which is quite incredible.
Since 1967, so that would actually
50 years since IMSA was founded.
Yeah,
IMSA's 50th anniversary.
It's going to be the first. I've also just worked out it's going to be the first all-female lineup in my dad's lifetime, because he was born in 1968. And the lineup back in 67 was a Ford Mustang driven by Janet Guthrie, Anita Taylor, and Smokey Drolet. Mike Shank has actually also confirmed a second full season NSX GT3 Evo for next year as well, but that's all still to be confirmed. And Heinricher Racing have also announced Loni Unser as a development driver for the team as well, which is going to be epic, to say the least.
Indeed.
So cannot wait for that. Anything with Catherine Legg and Simona Di Silvestre in by themselves is going to be quick. Putting the two of them together in a car. Yeah, that's going to be pretty special to watch, I think.
It's going to be something.
Oh, too right. And speaking of new entries, FAF Motorsport are going to be moving from the SRO run Pirelli World Challenge into the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship for the Sprint Cup for next year in a Porsche 911 GT3R, the new one as well, which is going to be quite nice to watch.
So, a Volkswagen Beetle.
Indeed. He says trying not to summon Sif at all, even though he knows that he has summoned Sif, but never mind. Yeah, it's an all-Canadian lineup for FAF Motorsports of Scott Hargrove and Zachary Robichon. Robichon, I think, competed in Carrera Cup this year.
Yeah, he was in Porsche Cup, Porsche GT3 Cup, Canada.
Yeah, so he already knows some of the circuits, and when we get to CTMP next year, that's going to come in pretty darn handy.
Indeed.
Yes. They also are planning on doing Motul Petit Le Mans next year as well, with an eye on doing building up to a full campaign in 2020, which is going to be quite interesting actually, and hopefully, well, they haven't confirmed yet who's going to be their third driver for Petit Le Mans, but that remains to be seen, given that we're still 9, 10, 11 months away from that.
Yeah, 11 months. It's in October, so.
Yeah, true. I was going to say I should remember that because I was in the studio producing the last couple of hours of coverage. Yeah. Yes, while everyone else was asleep.
I got the backup producer in. No, the backup producer in.
Oh, thank you, G-Fans. Oh dear. Yes. More GTD class news now. There has been an awful lot of it lately. Lexus Racing and Paul Gentilozzi have parted ways on good terms, with Free GT exploring options for next season. Yeah, it means that there is now a new service provider contract for Lexus, and it's been given to AIM Vassar Sullivan Racing. And, well, the Vassar name in that doesn't really need much explanation, does it?
No, not at all.
No, not
it's
at all.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah, it's a pair of RCF GT3s out of AIM's Autosports base up in Canada, while they're setting up their new base in the old Change Racing shop in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they've actually confirmed a driver already.
Did you just say AIM? It's AIM.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I did say AIM.
No, it's not AIM, it's AIM.
Oh.
Like the word aim.
Oh, never mind. And, yeah, they've confirmed a driver for next season. Well, from, I believe he's from Tut County at Yorkshire, Jack Hawksworth. Yeah, Hawksworth has been announced as the first driver for the team and was rather quick indeed this season in the Lexus and Free GT Racing, even if they had next to no luck at all. In fact, the only way they could have had less bad luck was to have, well, more bad luck rather, was to have no luck at all.
Or they could have just put Daniel Ricciardo in the car, and then they'd have less luck.
Yeah.
No, that would only be if he was a Red Bull and had Renault power.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, a Tag Heuer.
Tag Heuer.
Tag Heuer, yeah, because you know, a well-known engine.
Yes. Yes, because Tag Heuer brings back such evocative memories of engines that actually lasted a full race distance and were built by Porsche. I mean, come on, we knew that was coming, in fairness. Yeah, in other news, Core Autosport are continuing with the number 54 Orica 07 Gibson in the LMP2 class for Colin Braun and John Bennett, even though the rule we mentioned earlier has since been, the loophole has been closed and they can't have Bennett start the race after Braun had qualified it and put it on the front row, inevitably. Although they did explore options for DPI before settling on continuing with the trusty Breaker. And finally, Corvette Racing have decided to bring the Thunder for next year, as they're sticking with the good old C7R, as they haven't actually launched the new C8R or indeed the road-going version. But they are close to confirming an entry for the Sebring 8 hours. Sorry, the Sebring 1,000 miles, if you will. Although the rules are for WEC and IMSA state that a team cannot change cars mid-season, which means Corvette will have to wait 2020 at least to debut a new car, time to the road car launch.
Yes.
Of course, the new C8. Also?
I was going to say, thanks to the way that the rules don't allow them to change cars, that would be the... we know what rule that would be, thanks to one GTG driver. McNeil.
God.
Clear my throat. Yeah, I don't know what came over me there.
Are you feeling okay, Forza?
No, I seem to have come down with a bit of a Cooper McNeil.
Oh dear, that sounds awfully painful. Have you gone to ER to get it treated?
Yes, I think I need a shot for that. Yeah.
Okay. Vodka?
No. Never mind. That'll make it worse, actually.
I mean, you were asking a university student a shot. I mean, what else was expected?
Oh, this is true. Have you mentioned the? Well, you were just talking about the Corvette news, but they have to use a C7R for 2019 at least because
yes,
and change, which is fine in my book because then we get to see 3 Corvettes at Sebring, which is never a bad thing because the more Corvettes, the better.
Oh, absolutely. I've just realised I forgot as well.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Yes. CJ Wilson.
Hang on. I'm still on the Corvette.
Oh, sorry.
No, there'll be 3 of them at Sebring potentially. And also what this means is, while they're still using the C7R because they want to time the race car to come out with their road cars, BMW and Ford.
But come on, the Ford's already been homologated, even though it's built out of plastic bricks.
Yeah, well, it wasn't launched with the road car. Neither was the M8, because the M8 still hasn't come out, and the race car has already won races.
Yes, and I've spoken to someone who has driven the M8.
Yeah, funny how that works. Yeah,
Alex Sims.
But they want to stick to the road car timing, because that's the whole point of Corvette racing, so they will have the C8R, which will be mid-engined and turbocharged. Sounds interesting. If that is indeed what it sounds like. Could very well be a trick exhaust or whatever. But that will be delayed slightly to at least 2020. So, a year off. One more year of the ground-pounding V8 for the C7R. I'm not going to complain.
Oh, no, who wouldn't?
No.
Who would complain? At the end of the day, what this shows is that Doug Feehan, the boss of Corvette Racing, is a proper racer.
Speaking of Doug Feehan, actually, an interesting thing happened at Shanghai. I don't know if you were aware of it, though, Rob.
The first single-car Corvette racing entry since ALMS at Texas Motor Speedway?
No, that was also interesting, but not what I was looking for. The answer I was looking for was the fact that that was the first time Doug Feehan wasn't at a race with Corvette Racing. Because he was on vacation before the...
well-deserved vacation.
Before the plans got announced that they were going to go racing in China.
He actually has a holiday. I didn't suppose he actually took holidays.
Yeah, I think he would have much rather been in China racing the Corvette if you would have asked Doug Feehan, but he had vacation with his wife, so, you can't argue.
Yeah. But then again, that's Doug Feehan for you. He is a racer through and through. So... yes.
That was that one. I think you need to go back a bit in the notes that we have written down, yeah.
Yes.
Someone can't read.
Yes.
Yeah, I get accused of not being able to read.
Oh, thank you. You're awfully kind. And I haven't had much more annoying accusations aimed at me in the past, such as...
Will you get on with it, Rob? Yeah.
Okay. Yes, the current leadership structure of CJ Wilson Racing are going to rebrand the team as Gradient Racing, which means Mark Miller, Declan Brennan and Andris Leivins are retaining the Acura they campaigned in IMSA this season, although they are looking to expand into GT4 and TCR, and are also evaluating IMSA and the Intercontinental Grand Touring Cup Challenge Quest thing.
I think we'll find it's Intercontinental GT Challenge. Yeah.
Whatever SRO
There you
decided to call it. I mean, it's SR.
No, Rob,
What do
I'll
they
point
know?
out to you this way. The actual World Championship for the SRO, not whatever garbage they're calling the Pro League World Challenge this week. Yeah.
Oh, what they've decided to call Pro League World Challenge for the next 72 hours?
You mean the thing that isn't the Pro League World Challenge, but I digress, yeah.
Oh, that one, yeah. Yeah.
There's only one Pro League World Challenge, and that race is in America, and it's not a World Championship, but okay.
Yes.
I digress.
Anyway, CJ Wilson will relaunch CJ Wilson Racing with new personnel from his auto dealership based in Fresno, California.
Yes, my backyard. So I look forward to seeing if he rolls anything out of his lovely dealership bases there. Yeah,
a cheeky shop visit for GTHub.
Ooh, he's got some very lovely auto dealerships. The Porsche and the Audi ones are great. They're nice and shiny, and they have all sorts of random nice Porsches lurking about up for sale. It's very lovely.
Are you going to be within our price range?
Absolutely not. But they're quite nice to look at.
Shit. Right.
Probably I was taking a picture with our price tag.
Yeah, maybe a picture of the price tag will be as much as I. But there we go.
I don't think you could afford even a Porsche shirt. Yeah.
I don't think I can even afford the bloody flight to America.
That's probably a bigger thing, yeah.
And if you think I'm swimming across the Atlantic, then, well, quite frankly, the answer to that is no.
I mean, someone's done it before. Surely you could as well. Yeah.
No, because I'd get as far as, the breakwater of Dover Ferry Port and probably just drown.
I think that's optimistic.
Actually, knowing me, that's incredibly optimistic.
Anyway, dragging this back, kicking and screaming to the point.
Yes, there is more GTD news involving a team who, we're quite familiar with from back in the good old days of the American Le Mans series.
Just hearing their name makes me very happy. Yeah.
Flying Lizard Motors.
Yes, the good Flying Lizard colors. This is great. Anytime you put their lizard logo on anything, it's great, fantastic.
Yeah.
Like when they run in a couple of, actually, I think next week actually at the Thunderhill 25 hours, in their lovely white and blue Toyo Tires livery, top notch.
Am I right in thinking they're racing on the old 3 mile layout at Thunderhill, or do they use the full 5
gigantic loop? Yeah,
all 5 miles of it.
Yeah,
that looks like a fun track to drive. In fairness,
over a literal mountain, I'm pretty sure. That's quite a huge hill. Yeah.
Wow, excellent. But yeah, they're close to returning to IMSA with a potential Sprint Cup program with the brand new McLaren 720S GT3, which is going to be awesome to watch if it does come to fruition. Although McLaren are also discussing programs with other teams in a slow build-up of their involvement in GTD over a multi-year period, so there could well be 2 McLaren 720Ss on the grid next season.
Yes, all of their holes as well. Yeah.
But Flying Lizard. That's all. That's the most important part of that. Is just the fact it's Flying Lizard Motorsports.
I don't even care about the McLarens. I just Flying Lizard back in IMSA where they belong. Yeah.
To be fair, they should be racing Porsches in my opinion. But there we go.
Well, that's true. However, they are racing their old Porsche GT2 car at Thunderhill. So
it's about as quick as a contemporary GT3 car. I bought.
Well, that car won last year's Thunderhill 25-hour race. So yeah, it's not a slow thing.
I'm looking forward to it.
Not slow at all. There's also video coverage of it. I don't know how great it will be, but there you go. That's slightly going off track, but
come on, it can't be much worse than Suzuka.
Related. Yeah. So that's a bit of rumor mongering there for that. That's all I had written down, really. Actually, that's the backlog of news we were sitting on.
Yes, that was the backlog of news.
things that are happening this weekend.
Yes.
Which apparently is quite a lot.
And especially down under as well in Australia. Going down to Australia for Virgin Australia Supercar Championship final round.
Oh, Lord.
In fairness, that is the most convincing accent I can do.
You're lucky I don't have control over your knobs of volume, otherwise you would be muted. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something.
Get your head out the gutter.
Boy.
And this has now suddenly become very unsafe for work, yeah.
As it should be.
Honestly.
Yes, it's...
I'm just... No, you're not allowed to talk anymore. You're done. I'm cutting you off.
You're going to mention Craig Lowndes?
You're done. You're just done for a while.
Okay.
Australia will be home for the championship deciding round, apparently, of the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship.
It is.
Even though I've no idea what's happening, because I'm still stuck somewhere in March or April on what I'm seeing.
I have a rough idea what's happening.
I have still no idea who's won Bathurst, so yeah, I'm so far behind.
So it's basically between Shane Van Gisbergen for AAA, Holden, and the Penske Ford of Scott McLaughlin, I believe, for the championship.
News concerning the Fords, because they rolled out their Mustang that they're going to race next season, and well, it's a bit like Marmite, I think.
That wing is sizable.
It's either you like it or you very much hate it. Kind of not in the middle, yeah. It's kind of cut and dry, according to the internet. You either like it or you hate it, but yeah. I give Ford some credit for even making something that looks like a Mustang based on the box they had to fit it in, quite literally. Because they had to fit over the control chassis for the supercars, so managed to make it look like a Mustang, but still be kind of spec is quite an achievement. I'm not sure they got that wing right, though. That might be a bit too big.
You can never have a too big wing.
I don't know. Have you seen the giant aerofoil they have on the back of that thing?
Yep. Never too big.
It looks like an early 1920s biplane.
Sort of thing you see flying out of Hen, let alone Heathrow.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's
And it's Craig Lowndes' last ever weekend as a full-time driver.
There's the F1 that happening as well, but who cares?
Yeah, it's Formula 1.
Yeah,
it's Abu Dhabi, and every championship's been sealed up.
Yeah.
There's no point, because I can't even cheer for Haas to win anything, because they're going to sit fourth.
Finished.
There is good news, though.
Formula B.
No.
That's what it is.
Sky Sports have done a poll online for who's been the best driver of the season. And
wait, what?
Yes, Sky Sports in the UK have done an online poll thingamajig for their people to vote for Driver of the Year, and guess who the winner so far is?
Hang on. If it's not Max Verstappen, I'll be surprised.
Well, this is on the Sky.
Sorokin.
Hang on. They can't even leave that alone. What election won't they mess with? Honestly.
Gotta thank Reddit for that. Seriously.
Yep. Good old.
Oh,
works to you, brother.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm quite happy I heard that. Yes, that's brilliant. Oh man.
And that is literally the only bit of Formula 1 news worth mentioning this week, because
I do see the point to that, because in Sergei Sorokin's defense, he's not that bad. He's done quite well.
Really well.
Yeah.
He's outdone Lance Stroll. So I mean,
well, it's not difficult, in fairness.
No, but he's also in the worst car on the grid, TM, because that's true. So for him to do as well as he's doing, regardless, I mean, he's only scored points once, but you know, a point is a point. So at the end of the day, he has points. and he's not worse than Lance Stroll. So, yeah, good on him.
Good lads.
There has been actual testing news from F1 though, because Tatiana Calderon has been testing quite a lot. I've noticed because she's been testing that an F1 car for Sauber since Mexico. So
she's been doing quite a lot of running.
Getting in a lot of cars recently, which is good for her. But I must admit, I have no idea who she is. That's no slight against her. I don't know what she does.
She races in GP3, which might explain why you haven't heard of her, because it's an European Junior Formula Series.
Is it? What is it? The actual GP3, or is it
the actual
Formula 3?
The actual GP3
with the car that's now pointless because they're running actual F3 cars next season.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And
people wonder why I'm confused about how the ladder works. Yeah.
She was actually in the news again this morning, UK time, because she's down to test for DS to Cheetah in the first
lovely gold car. Yeah.
Formula E in-season test. There's actually quite a lot of female drivers participating in Saudi
they're
Arabia.
only allowed to run female drivers in the young driver test at I was going to say Abu Dhabi again. I have Abu Dhabi on my mind, in Saudi Arabia.
I have the actual list in front of me here. Envision Virgin Racing are going to be having one car shared between Robin Fries and Sam Bird, and the second car is driven by...
No, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. They're only allowed to run women in this test.
No. Whole field.
Okay.
And the second car is going to be driven all day by Khalid Al-Khabaisi.
I thought the test for rookies was only for women.
Not a rookie test. Rookie test is Marrakesh, I think.
Yeah, this is an in-season.
In-season test.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I thought when they announced the race that they said they were going to have a special women's-only test.
I don't know.
Unless I read the release wrong, and it was just that they had desired that all the women would test cars for them. That must have been what the wording was. That must have been what it was.
The second driver for Envision Virgin Racing is the eldest daughter of someone who's going to be quite familiar to us here at GTHub. It's Khalid Al-Khabaisi's eldest daughter.
Say that again?
Yeah, Khalid Al-Khabaisi, the sports car driver in World Endurance Championship.
Oh, Khalid Al-Khabaisi, okay.
Yeah, his eldest daughter, Amna, is taking part.
Oh, that's very interesting.
For Virgin Racing. HWA have Stoffel Van Dorn in one car and Gary Puckett in the other car, and our good friend to be confirmed.
Ah, yes, lovely.
Yes.
I feel like you're bearing the lead here. Which car is Simone in? That's all I want to know.
Simona's driving Venturi. She's doing both sessions with Felipe Massa.
Okay, so she's got a slow car. That's terrible. All right.
Yeah. Neo have confirmed Jamie Chadwick, former British GT champion and currently races in British Formula 3.
Which one is Catherine Leggan?
Catherine Legg's driving the Mahindra both sessions. Audi have confirmed their test driver Nico Mueller.
So I have no idea what you're saying.
I was going to say Audi have confirmed Nico Mueller, their test driver. Mahindra have got Catherine Legg and Jerome D'Ambrosio doing the driving.
Ooh, that's a very nice line.
Yes, indeed. BMW have got Alex Sims and Beatska Visser.
No idea who that is.
Visser's on the BMW young driver.
Oh, yes, that's right. She's the VLN GT4 driver. I think she does GT Masters as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tatiana Calderon's going to be driving both of DS to Cheetah's cars with one with
doing it properly.
Yeah,
so you can drive both at the same time.
Andre Lotter is.
See, what you do is she puts one leg in one and she puts the other leg in the other, and then she shoots them like skates.
Yeah. Andre Lotter's doing session 1 and Jean-Luc Verne's doing session 2. Nissan Edam, well, actually, Jaguar Racing's a bit easier to do. Mitch Evans is doing both sessions.
See, that's just lazy. They're not even putting a young driver in. It's terrible.
Yeah, Mitch Evans is still quite young, though.
Yeah, but he's the regular driver. That's like F1
true.
having a young driver test and having Kimi Räikkönen go out and race the car.
Moving on to Nissan
Which is what they did one year, yeah.
Yes. Moving on to Nissan Edams, they've got...
Surely the only driver they have written down is Sebastian Buemi.
No, they have Alex Albon / Sebastian Buemi for both sessions.
So that means he's only slightly there.
Yes, and the other car is going to be driven by Carmen Jorda.
Oh, boy. Yes, that most pointless of women drivers.
Yes, Simone.
Hang on, surely they should have put Danica Patrick in there to make it even more pointless.
Well, no, it would. It would actually make it better because we all know that Danica's actually a very good driver.
I call bullshit on that, but okay.
She's at least a capable driver.
Yeah.
I rate her as mediocre at best, but... I take it you haven't seen the comments she made about IndyCar drivers, then.
Who, Danica?
Yes. About how they're all posing. And how NASCAR is so much better than IndyCar because they don't pose.
Oh, well, in that case, she's the worst driver in the world.
There you go. You see,
yeah. Alongside Simona Venturi will be Felipe Massa for session 1, Edo Motar for session 2. Jamie Chadwick's doing both sessions for Neo, with the second car to be shared throughout the day by Ollie Turvey and Tom Dillman. Dragon Racing have the second car for both sessions to be shared by Jose Maria Lopez and Max Gunter, with the first car being driven by TBC. HWA's lineup consists of TBC and Gary Paffett for session 1 and Stoffel Van Dorn in TBC session 2. And we already mentioned... To be honest,
Rob, just stop reading. I don't care.
I finished, so you got lucky.
In all fairness, in this, I only wanted to hear the notable entries, not the regular entries for Formula E, which is basically what you did.
Okay.
I thought you would have figured it out by me saying select ones, but you clearly did not catch on. No.
Well, that's because there were quite a few, actually, to mention.
Honestly, what is the point of having her in I don't even care about the Nissan effort anymore. Just honestly.
It's going to be...
It hasn't even run yet, and I don't care.
It has run. The Nissan was running at Valencia.
I don't care about the Nissan effort. Honestly, if they are going to poach Carmen Jorda to run, even in a glorified just running of the car, I still cannot be bothered to support that team any longer. Honestly. Of all the people to give a role to, they give it to her. They might as well have plucked Susie Wolf out of being a team principal and put her in the goddamn car.
At least that would have been interesting.
Yeah, at least that would have been interesting, yeah. Have her and Simona run the cars, honestly.
Having a team principal driving their own car.
Well, I mean, they would know certainly what was wrong with the car.
Yes.
I think we're running out of things, actually.
Yeah. Yes, so I think we have run out of things, pretty much.
Good. I'm losing the will to live at this point. Let me just take a double check here, because NASCAR finished last weekend, and the pointless race the chase for the quest for the cup for the gauntlet of the thing.
For the painting in it.
For the painting of the thing with the championship 4 and the final 4 with
and no pagan tings.
Literally, who cares?
Yeah, nobody cares. Yeah,
it's NASCAR.
All I know is a numpty won the championship. That's all I know.
Yeah, I mean, you could have said that at the start of the season.
That's basically the only good thing I know that's happening. Well, I say good in quotes, but yeah. Nothing is happening this weekend, so yeah, sadly, there's no calendars. Cry.
Yeah. Hello, darkness, my old.
Yeah, we've taken up too much time of yours already, so we will end. We will end the show. So we'll see you next week on the regular time. When Rob decides to go to a pub again.
In fairness, I didn't pay for dinner, so that was...
Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.